In this video, we're going to talk about the Python spirit, right? So it's a term used in Christianity, in the Christian community. They're on YouTube and everything, and basically, yeah, it refers to the python, you know, the snake that pretty much like grabs, pretty much like grips and squeezes and holds its prey, you know, for when they're pretty much in attack mode, or they want to, you know, pretty much disable the prey, you know. And basically in life, I'm realizing like what the python spirit is, you know, or at least in my understanding, the python spirit is basically addiction. And addiction could be many forms. It could come in many forms, you know. When we talk about addiction, we're basically saying you could be addicted to a certain type of food, a certain chemical that's in the food, and basically, you know, things that we drink, and, you know, and of course, you know, you have drugs and everything. So, you know, so one of my addictions were alcohol, and basically I needed it to pretty much like end my day. So when I be working, I mean, I used to drink while I was working, but, you know, I don't do that anymore. But, you know, there was a time when I used to basically just get off work and, you know, stop at the 7-Eleven or gas station or wherever, you know, or the liquor store, and, you know, I'll take home some alcohol, you know, and go get some food, you know. So basically, this habit, it became a habit that I would just drink a lot after work from all the stress and everything that I went through during the day and the night. And because I work at a restaurant, and I've always worked at restaurants in my life, in my whole lifetime. You know, it is what it is. Maybe I'm just addicted to that lifestyle or that type of job, but, you know, but I do want to get out of it. But anyway, yeah. So, but I pretty much unwind and just and you know, get on the computer, watch a little YouTube, watch this, watch that, and I'll be drinking. And basically, when I get a buzz or I feel like tipsy, or, you know, or even points where I was drunk, then I would start eating, and it'll be like a huge meal, you know, after drinking and everything. And I would just get tired and pass out right after, just go to bed just like that. And this was like nights after nights. This was years that I was doing this, and pretty much like, yeah, it had a big effect on me, like in my waking life, because I would wake up tired, you know. And then after my 20s and into my early 30s, I would start to wake up like with inflammation, pain, and everything. So, you know, my body was pretty much weighed down, and yeah, and pretty much like medically, like the body is not really at rest, you know, especially like, you know, because the body pretty much like, it goes through stages when we're sleeping, and, you know, with the mind and REM sleep and the ability to dream and everything. So yeah, I mean, I would just wake up with inflammation, pain. Then I started having the foot problems in my late 30s into my 40s. And yeah, you know, because, you know, actually I also have like flat feet syndrome, bunion, like a bunion on both feet, on both toes, my bad. And yeah, it was when they were coming on, there were pain from that, like. But later on, I started to discover that, like, when I kept this habit of drinking and eating and going to sleep, that I would just be like in pain, waking up in pain, and I couldn't stand for a long time like I used to and everything. And yeah, it took me years and years to actually realize that, like, you know, that was a big problem, you know. And, you know, even on my days off when I weren't working and stuff, it would be the same thing. So yes, there were times where I did take times like I left the alcohol alone probably 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. There was a time when I went 6 months, and it was a big difference. Like I saw a lot of money, a lot more money in my bank account. I was able to, make better decisions and do other things and everything. So yeah, it was a lot going on and with that. But recently, up until now, this is August 2025. It's been like 3 weeks since I've made that change, and basically what I realized is that the spirit of Python, the Python spirit, is basically addiction, because the addiction is a hold. It's a hold and it's a squeeze, and it's a yeah, it's pretty much, it's a tight grip, and basically the pain that I was feeling in my body, you could say I almost feel like a snake was pretty much like, a python was pretty much like got me in a hold, and it's pretty much like hard to get out. It takes a lot to get out, but it was I just went through a lot, with realizing that, and pretty much that hold could also be connected to foods and sugar and everything, and yeah, man, like it's pretty much crazy, man. But yeah, addiction is definitely a python spirit, yeah, definitely. And I gotta do a video also on what's the other one? Yeah, you have the Jezebel spirit, and then you also have the, what's the other, I think there was a Leviathan. That's another one. That's another form of a hold, and something has to do, things that have to do with pride and ego and habit also, and it could even be connected to addiction as well. So yeah, man, like, but definitely, like, definitely addiction is a hold, and it's definitely connected to spirits, and there was a metaphysical teacher that I'll be watching videos on, yeah, and he passed away. His name is Bobby Hemmett, and he was saying how basically spirits hang around certain things, and those things are tobacco, red meat, or you could say pork, alcohol, and curse words, so basically, like, if you think about it, a lot of things go hand in hand with certain people, it's kind of like, because me, I also smoked, so it's just like, and I cursed a lot, especially at work, from all the stress and everything, and the drama. But yeah, man, like all these things go hand in hand, so I was pretty much doing all of those things. I was pretty much doing all of those things when it came to the lifestyle that I was living, so. But until next time, it's Damien, aka Damien Jermaine, Dame the Real, and that's enough for this topic today, the Python spirit, and like, comment, subscribe, and share if you got, good information and you felt the same way about, all right, bro. Peace.